winter is coming.
Well, if there was any doubt as to the intentions of this Supreme Court, you can put that baby to bed.
It's not just about the Trump January 6th case. It's about every president who goes forward, indeed possibly Trump next year, and being immune now from the criminal law to be able to use the Justice Department in ways the court today calls absolutely immune to undermine elections, to go after individuals. This is according to the dissent, which it seems like as grave a shift in our constitutional system as any in our lifetime.
The crux of the immunity claim is this. What is an official act? Sure, no one can arrest you for vetoing a bill, but can you veto a person?
And he orders the military or orders someone to assassinate him.
I mean, if the future wasn't dark enough, what with Trump promising to pardon felons, arrest political enemies and media figures, ironically employ the Insurrection Act, and mass deport millions, with this court, could all this just be a prelude of what's to come?
In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, they would not do it again so easily.
Under normal circumstances, this would simply be alarming, that a president could attack political opponents and have it construed as an official act. But that's where we're headed, and here as well.
Meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst.
Yeah, with apologies to Germany for that. I mean, Germany's figured it out. No one comes down harder on right-wing groups and right-wing violence.
It's actually not a real problem in America. White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax.
In the U.S., though, the Trump MAGA movement is supported by white Christian nationalists, white supremacists, and groups whose stated mission is a racial war. But what's changed from the 1950s Jim Crow and the subsequent Supreme Court decisions like Brown versus the Board of Education is this court.
This is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. I hate the fear-mongering that the Republicans consistently do all the time. They want people to be afraid of trans kids. They want people to be afraid of black folk. They want people to be afraid of immigrants. They have this game plan that they always play out that is always one of fear. And I always want us to be hopeful on our side. But I am going to be honest. The fear-mongering is about to begin, at least from my perspective. But scaring them because they literally are allowing him the ability to kill someone. When Sotomayor put that into her decision, she wasn't just saying this. This was argued by his attorneys. So this is not hypothetical for me. This is a very real thing. It's a very real and scary thing for me. And I hate to not focus on a more hopeful future.
Mitch McConnell and his myopic embrace of the pro-life evangelicals set fire to the already waning concept of separation of powers. In 1933, the Nazis passed a law allowing for the removal of poor and homeless. On June 28th of this year, our Supreme Court did the same.
Today, the U.S. Supreme Court reinforced Florida's hard stance on how to deal with the homeless. The ruling will essentially allow local governments to ban anyone from sleeping outside.
And now, the court is more than compromised. They're infected.
She says looking beyond the fate of this particular prosecution, the long-term consequences of today's decision are stark. The court effectively creates a law-free zone around the president, upsetting the status quo that has existed since the founding. This new official acts immunity now lies about like a loaded weapon for any president that wishes to place his own interests, his own political survival, or his own financial gain above the interests of the nation. The president of the United States is the most powerful person in the country and possibly the world. When he uses his official powers in any way, under the majority's reasoning, he now will be insulated from criminal prosecution. Orders the Navy's SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival, immune. Organizes a military coup to hold on to power, immune. Takes a bribe in exchange for a pardon, immune, 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 immune.
These are the 6 votes who could have just allowed the next president, and from the delays and the comments of Thomas and Alito, Trump is their choice, to have unchecked power in squashing dissent to the point of imprisonment and worse.
But at the time, the public didn't know exactly what the president was asking for. He also, as you say in the book, in your opening page, was saying, why can't you just go out and shoot the protesters in the legs?
So what happened to Justice Roberts protecting the integrity of the court? All 3 of these humps lied about their stance on abortion, as was so obvious in the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe. They flat out lied during their testimony. Gorsuch lied, Coney Barrett lied, and Kavanaugh, well, he was at least honest about this.
Yes, we drank beer, my friends and I, the boys and girls,
Yes, we drank beer. I liked beer. Still like beer.
Truth is, you have to give credit to Thomas and Alito for openly expressing their disdain for the Constitution. Alito and his wife flew a flag upside down on January the 6th.
My heritage is German. You come after me, I'm going to give it back to you.
And discussing other flags she wanted to fly at their house.
You know what I want? I want a Sacred Heart of Jesus flag because I have to look across the lagoon at the Pride flag for the next month.
And Thomas's wife was there on January 6th, texting Meadows to follow through on the insurrection.
Ginny Thomas wrote to Meadows, "Help this great president stand firm, Mark. The majority knows Biden and the left is attempting the greatest heist of our history." In another, she seemed to embrace a long-held false QAnon conspiracy theory that Trump had watermarked mail-in ballots so he could track potential fraud. She wrote to Meadows, "Watermarked ballots in over 12 states have been part of a huge Trump and military white hat sting operation in 12 key battleground states." And Ginny Thomas also stood by lawyer Sidney Powell, who spread the long-debunked conspiracy theory that electronic voting machines had somehow switched ballots from Trump to Biden. She wrote to Meadows, "Sounds like Sidney and her team are getting inundated with evidence of fraud. Make a plan, release the Kraken, and save us from the left taking America down." At one point, the Washington Post reports, Ginny Thomas urged Meadows to watch a YouTube video about the power of never conceding.
So of course these stiffs want to give Trump immunity, and they were not so coy in their plan. Saying that Trump would not be given immunity for unofficial acts, but not defining the term unofficial, is like saying there's a speed limit, but not telling anyone what it is until after the crash. There's already rumblings that January the 6th was an official act to stop an illegal election, even after 60 courts denied Trump's claim, even after this.
I just want to find 11,000 votes.
So today, Republican lawyers are making the case that Trump had no choice but to stop the certification.
It's a threat to democracy. Pull him off the air.
The question is, if that is to be judged an official act to send thousands of aggressive, armed protesters to the Capitol, screaming for the deaths of the vice president who's counting the votes,
My kids didn't have the courage to do what should have been done.
and for Pelosi, Speaker of the House, what's next? Attacking protesters and dissidents? Sending U.S. military into cities to kill activists?
And he orders the military or orders someone to assassinate him.
This country has been transformed into the very banana republic that Fox News little piglets rail about ad nauseum. And at the heart of this insanity is insanity.
I have the absolute right to pardon myself.
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
The Supreme Court is not so supreme, and it is barely a court, leaving other courts now to decide what an official act is. It's like inviting tiny fingers to babysit your 14-year-old daughter.
Thursday night, you're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
I don't know what's worse, having a mentally ill dictator or seeing the little spineless eunuchs bending over to please him. Does anyone not see the unfolding future when a sociopath yields absolute power?
I want to be a dictator.
Because what will happen is Trump and Flynn will create a division in the military loyal to him only, and then the wheels will officially be off. By then it won't matter what the court says or what Congress says, except that they need to be silenced. And the proof that this will happen? The history of the world? There should be no immunity for this weak little bitch whose only official act was losing. But there is something to say about clarity, and here it is. Biden or no Biden, we need to figure out a plan quick. If we lose in the fall, we face a winter that rivals Game of Thrones.
It's cold outside. You don't know cold.
And winter is coming.
Who's with me?
Hi, what's up?
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, right.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.